Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, as we begin the celebrations of 2018 Labor Day, I'd like to call on our good friend, Reverend Nicholas Tweed.
Good morning. Happy Labor Day. Let us pause as we bow our heads. And why don't you take your neighbor by the hand as a sign of unity. Gracious and merciful God, we pause to acknowledge the gift of a brand new day, another opportunity to assemble together. And as we gather on this Labor Day, we give you thanks, O God, for the generations of soldiers, men and women that have championed the cause of labor. We thank you, O God, for equipping them to break down barriers of inequality and racial injustice. But as we gather on this day, we come acknowledging that this is but a step on a continued journey. For we know, O God, that we are continuing to fight for equal opportunity in employment. We're continuing to fight for equal pay for equal work. We're continuing to fight, O God, for equal employment opportunities in an economy where labor is contracting. So we pray, oh God, that you bless this gathering, bless the leadership of all of the unions that are here assembled. We pray, oh God, that you'll inspire and convict the hearts of those assembled, that we will not grow weary in well-doing, but we will continue in our struggle until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Pray, oh God, that all that happens on this day is pleasing and acceptable in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray. And all of God's people said,
Amen. Thank you, Brother Reverend Tweed. At this time, I want to call on the acting Premier, Brother David Birch.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. Let me first say how truly honored I am to have this opportunity to speak on behalf of the government of Bermuda, your government. As the Minister of Public Works, I am proud to work every day alongside men and women who are strong and active members of the island's trade unions. Their union membership makes them better workers. It makes us better managers, and in the end helps us to provide the services to Bermuda that many often take for granted. This government is a labor government, and everything we do is with the core ideals of the labor movement in mind. There is dignity in honest work, and that work should be properly compensated. And that work should be done in conditions of safety and harmony. Our pledge is to never stop working in support of labor. After all, it is who we are, it is what we are. After 14 months in government, we have now taken stock of this community. We have listened and learned from you, the people. Your encouragement and indeed criticism have guided us from day one, and I find it inspiring to have ordinary, hard-working Bermudians engaged in keeping us accountable for the things we promised and in touch with the changing needs of our society. The summer break will soon end. School will resume, and before we know it, a new legislative session will be upon us. This means that we are about to double our efforts in working for you. The Premier made it clear in his address to Friday night's banquet that we are determined to tackle the issues that make Bermuda too expensive for most hardworking families. We are done diagnosing the problems. It is time for solving those problems. We were elected to change Bermuda and to make life in this country fairer and better for the people of Bermuda. That starts with deliberately and aggressively bringing down the cost of living. The implementation of a living wage in this country is important. It is unthinkable in this day and age for an adult with all the responsibilities demanded of our people to earn a wage that can never allow them to take care of their primary needs. This will end, and we will introduce a living wage in Bermuda that promotes that dignity and honest work I spoke to earlier. But a living wage is just one piece of the puzzle. You cannot improve people's lives if all you do is give them the short-term means to exist in an unjust system. The system must be changed.
Yes, sir.
Historic systems of inequality must be broken and injustice replaced with justice and equity. Healthcare, energy, mortgages, taxes, these features of our everyday lives have become so normal that we have internalized the unjust way in which they are applied to us, and we have made the unjust normal. No more, family. No more, family. Each of these strongholds of economic injustice, sometimes supported by antiquated and unjust laws, are set to change. If all we do is give people more money to pay to you-know-who, then shame on us. It is time to break the back of these constants in our lives that can be more justly and more equitably applied. Make no mistake, though, the squealing will begin soon. In fact, it started last week by utterances from he who served longer than any other, as those who have profited from this unjust system start trying to explain how the sky will fall if we don't keep paying them from our hard-earned wages. This is where solidarity and unity of purpose becomes more critical. We must be united in this fight because history teaches us that only when we allow ourselves to be divided can we be defeated. Let me repeat that. We must be united in this fight because history teaches us that only when we allow ourselves to be divided can we be defeated. Now, I'm sure I'm over my time by now, so let me end with this. The labor movement in 2018 and beyond is the most critical partner in the progress we all want to see for Bermuda. My hope is that we can achieve agreements on the easy things and capitalize on the natural affinity between a labor government and labor unions. We must devote our time, talent, and energy to the next phase of Bermuda's history and Bermuda's story. The end of systematic inequality and a new era of social and economic justice leading to a fairer and better Bermuda for all. Family, united we stand, divided we fall. Thank you very much.
Put your hands together for Brother Colonel David Birch. Next up, we'd like to call on the acting labor minister, Sister Fogel.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, Bermuda. Good morning, brothers and sisters. As the acting Minister of Home Affairs, I am delivering this message on behalf, as you can appreciate, the Minister Walton Brown. Thank you. And on behalf of the government of Bermuda. Labor Day is meant to honor and celebrate the social and economic achievements of workers and the importance of their contributions to the strength, prosperity, and well-being of our country and to society. But Labor Day is not just one day set aside for celebrations. Labor Day is not a feel-good concept or fanciful notion. Labor Day is a movement. Labor Day is a showcase of national pride in the achievements of our workers, our unions, and the relationships forged as a result of sweat and perseverance. Over the years, we have highlighted and celebrated the outstanding few who showed strength in the face of adversity and who paved the way for all of us here today. As we continue to recognize and honor their legacy, I would also like for us to recognize the achievements of those who are outstanding in their own right and are contributing to the success of our country. If you have used public transportation, attended school, been sick, bought groceries, dined at a restaurant, earned a pet, or had to say farewell to a loved one, there's a worker to thank for that. From the farming industry to the fintech sector, there is no past accomplishment or future vision for Bermuda that does not have a worker at the center. Mr. Delmont Swan, Senior Medical Lab Technologist at the Bermuda Hospitals Board. Mr. Swan was chosen as a finalist in the Unsung Hero category of the WOW Awards, which is an organization that recognizes outstanding customer service based purely on customer nominations. Mr. Gary Pritt, server at the Fairmont Southampton. He was named Tourism Ambassador of the Year by the Bermuda Tourism Authority. These gentlemen and many other workers like them get up every day and commit to getting the job done, commit to being an example for others, and most importantly, commit to finding the joy and satisfaction in what they do. Nothing beats when you get on a bus or what have you, and you have a bus driver who greets you with a friendly smile and a friendly comment. It makes a great start to your day. This year's theme is Progress Towards a Fairer Bermuda. As a testament to the struggle of the pioneers of this movement, I want to highlight some of the work that is being done by this government, the unions, the employers, and you, the workers especially, to progress towards a fairer Bermuda. Some of these are the creation of a Bermuda National Workforce Development Plan, which aims to upgrade the skills of Bermuda's labor force and prepare Bermudians, especially young Bermudians, for the world of work. A comprehensive review of a living wage for Bermuda with the aim of benefiting the lives of all Bermudians and targeting low-income earners in particular. A review of the Employment Act 2000 and the labor legislation with a focus on amending the legislation to achieve the greatest possibility for peaceful and amicable relations between employers and their trade unions and workers. The creation of a gratuities subcommittee to the Labor Advisory Council to investigate and recommend solutions to the challenges faced within the service industry as it relates to reports of withholding gratuities and the unequal distribution of gratuities amongst workers. The creation the creation of a subcommittee to the Labor Advisory Council to review complaints of workers being denied their rights under the Employment Act 2000, where they are being treated as subcontractors, consultants, or vendors, as opposed to full-time staff. The 100 Jobs initiatives that saw over 50 Bermudians employed as a result. Retirement age and age discrimination are also being reviewed, and recommendations are being put forth as able-bodied seniors who wish to continue working should be afforded the opportunity to do so. These are just some things with respect to labor that we have under the microscope. In 1982, Bermuda celebrated Labor Day for the first time. During the ceremony, then Shadow Minister of Labor and Home Affairs, Leonard Frederick Wade, said, "As with every achievement of the workers and their organizations, this holiday was won only after a long struggle, and even then, the true wishes of the workers are never given to them in the manner in which the workers demand. You, the workers, and your organizations on your behalf have made it abundantly clear that more still needs to be done. We've heard you when you said you need protection from sexual harassment in the workplace. We heard you when you said that statutory deductions should reflect your wages. We heard you when you said to put Bermudians first in the workplace. We heard you and we are actively progressing towards a fairer Bermuda that puts Bermudians first. Government, the unions, the employers, and the workers sometimes don't see eye to eye. Sometimes there is some disagreement, but we must always keep at the forefront an agenda that promotes equality, fairness, respect, and dignity for all workers. Our country is depending on us to work together. Our young people are looking to us for guidance and to leave them with a legacy that we can be proud of. So today, as I am joined by the present generation of union leaders who proudly carry the baton passed down to them from the pioneers of this movement, I want to say thank you. Thank you to the workers, the real champions of this movement, for your continued dedication, your selflessness in the struggle towards a better Bermuda for all. Thank you, workers.
Thank you, Sister Fogo. At this time, I want to call on our president, Brother Chris Ferber. Put your hands together, please.
Thank you, Brother Arnold. Happy Labor Day to everyone. Progress towards a fair Bermuda. The acting premier mentioned it is time. I would just add one other word to that. It is time for change. Bermudians have seen their earned income seriously eroded over the past several decades. You will be aware that the Joint Select Committee submitted a report on a living wage. In that report, you will note the Chamber of Commerce makes a comment. And they say, now appreciate the Chamber of Commerce represents businesses, employers. It says that 68% of the members garnered support for a living wage. But look at the next statement. Only 31% agreed it should be mandatory. What that tells you? That's telling you The Premier just said, the acting Premier just said a minute ago, they're going to resist. It's time. And it's time for change. On Friday evening, at the BLU Labor Day banquet, we heard from the Premier, the Honorable David E. Burt, who gave us a message. And that message should be very encouraging for those who are struggling. And I'm describing that those who are struggling because it's not just blacks who are struggling. Let's just be clear. There are a lot of whites and others that are making the wages that blacks are making. But even though that is the case, we don't want to take that for granted. So it was gratifying to the Premier say, it is time for us to have a conversation at Belco. It is time for us to have a conversation about the cost of health care. It is time for us to have a conversation with the banks about the interest rates and mortgage rates. And it is certainly time for blacks who are performing similar jobs as whites, but are making so much more money. You might say, well, how you come to that conclusion? Get a copy of the Population and Housing Census Report of 2016, and you would see Bermuda College, not Bermuda, not overseas, not New York, not New Jersey, not Washington, Bermuda College. You go to Bermuda College, get a degree as a black person, and a male is worth, I'm going to use the wrong numbers, $60,000. For a white male, it's worth $80,000. Those are the facts. Look in there. You'll see them. Interesting enough, when you look at the other side, you see females. Black females is about 50,000, 58,000. And the white counterpart females are like 74. So they're actually over black. Males and females, both. So there's certainly time, it is time for change. But certainly, I started out by saying that it's time for change, and I think the Deputy Premier mentioned that this has been, as far as your wages are concerned, when you look at the household expenditure, compared to the rate of inflation, because when the unions are around the bargaining table, the employers saying, well, the rate of inflation is this, the rate of inflation is that. And for centuries and for many years, Dr. Ball at the bargaining table in the late 70s and early 80s said there's something wrong with the basket. It's not being computed correctly. And I can tell you everything that Dr. Ball said comes in right now. And when you look at the 2013 household expenditure, where it says it's $1,807 for everyone, but blacks could be maybe $1,600 as a family, and whites could be $1,800 or just over that to get to that average of $1,800. Who is the challenge? For whatever reason, back in the day, the household expenditure was allowed to outstrip the rate of inflation. They only produced 3 reports: 1993, 2004, and 2013. So when you go back to 1974 and then bring it all the way up to 2013, the retail price index increased by 165%. Cumulative effect, 165%. Whilst the household expenditure, some items increased, the lowest one increased by 155%. Another one, 159. There are 11 items that make up the household expenditure. The other 9 items all outstrip the rate of inflation. Every last one up. And then we're wondering why we've got the problem with rates. So whilst the union has done its part to negotiate in good faith on behalf of our members and get a little bit better than the rate of inflation, because we can show the comparison between union negotiated rates and the rate of inflation, we're ahead of the rate of inflation. But what also kept us in check was the household expenditure was allowed to outstrip our increases. So now it's simply time. It is time for change.
It is time. That's right.
My final point would be, it is time to put all of the key stakeholders in the room and let us make the decision. And it shouldn't take long. All the work has been done. It should not take another 5 years to get it done. It should be done in quick order. With that, again, wish you a happy Labor's Day. United we stand, divided we fall.
Thank you, Brother Chris. Yes, and at this time I'll call on Sister Linda from the BPSU. Sister Linda.
Thank you, brother. Good morning, brothers and sisters. No, that sounds like we're at a wake. This is Labor Day. I'm going to say it one more time. Good morning, brothers and sisters. That's what I'm talking about. They say when you show up, you should show up. And I don't know about you, but over the last couple of years, we've been showing up. We've been showing up and marching in the streets so much, we probably had to get new sneakers. I know I did.
That's right.
And the reason why we showed up all those years is because we said no to anybody that tried to take away what our forefathers fought so hard for in the streets. And anytime they came, as my president said, to get a little something out your pocket, we went to the streets and we said, no way, not today. When I was asked to speak today, I said, what am I going to speak about? Because you all know I like to speak. And I said to myself, I remember something that sometimes we forget when we go up in leadership. I remember that I'm just a worker. I'm just a worker with a title. And as a worker today, what would I want to hear said to me? And I said to myself, I want somebody to tell me, thank you. No, you're supposed to clap more than that. I want somebody to say, thank you for doing 2 jobs and only getting paid for one. Okay? I can't be the only one. I want somebody to say, thank you for working with less resources and still getting it done. I want somebody to say, thank you for taking home less money every year, but still giving quality public services. And I want somebody to come and thank me and hug me for going over and above to keep this country going when other countries failed during the recession, but the workers of this country kept this country going. So I'm here to say thank you. I'm here to say thank you, thank you, thank you. But more importantly, I'm here to say thank you for continuing to support your executive, your secretariat, and your union members who, when they call on you, you come.
Yes.
I want to say thank you for believing and trusting in us. That when we make that call, we've done everything we could to reach a settlement, and we could not do, so we called and asked you to come and help us. Yes. And you come. Yes. And I want you to continue to believe in us. Because Colonel Birch stole a line that I was going to use. When he said, you ought to know. He didn't say it like this, but I'm going to add some flavor to it. He said, you ought to know that things are going to change, and some people are not going to like it, and they're going to push back, and when they push back, we're going to continue to push forward and progress for a fairer Bermuda. And if we need you, we're going to come and get you, because it's time for less talk, and it's now time for action. Happy Labor Day.
Thank you, Sister Linda. Fantastic. We're going to call on Brother Senator James of the BUT, Bermuda Union of Teachers. Put your hands together, please.
Good morning, Bermuda. Before I start, as has been my custom, I ask that we would take 30 seconds in silence just to remember those of us who have been laid to rest between this last Labor Day celebration and today. 30 seconds. Thank you. I had my shirt on a couple of weeks ago. And I walked into a store and I got this look from this person. I wear the shirt proudly. He gave me the look, so I gave him the look. And he said, oh, and then he started telling me about his experience and how much he loved his teacher. And I said, look, my brother, thank a teacher. Thank a teacher. A couple of weeks ago, I took my son to the playground. There was a little girl on the swing, a couple of swings down from us. She said, Mommy, give me a push. Her mother said, but you know how to swing. She said, I know what I'm doing, but I just need a push. Bermuda, one of the ways that we can get closer to a fairer Bermuda is to just give each other a push. I, for one, am tired of all the political, oh, you said this, no, you said this, the tree is green, no, it's blue, no, it's up, no. We need to give each other a push. I'm tired of the ways that may not seem just to all. We need to give each other a push. As a teacher, there are many times, especially during the summer, you go in the store, you pick something up and you say, oh, all my students will love. No, I'm not going to buy anything else for my class. And you put it down. The struggle is real, yes? Because sometimes it seems like a thankless job. And yes, you do it for the students. And yes, you will give them your all. But sometimes it just doesn't feel like the community is on your side. Just being honest. When I turn on the TV and I see, oh, Cambridge results are in again. But I don't hear that I didn't get chemistry supplies. And I don't hear that, oh, we don't have any officers yet. We need a push. We need a push. 99 years ago, our founders said, hey, we are having too many people die in the community because the loss of a school meant the loss of a community. So 99 years ago, the founders of the BUT said, we need to give this island a push. The first trade union on the island was formed 99 years ago. And February 1st, we celebrate 100 years of existence. I'd like to thank all who have served in every union, but especially the BUT during this time, because they realized, hey, we need to give someone a push. Now, as Sister Linda mentioned a couple of years ago, our shoes kind of got worn out because we had to give some people a push, and they got pushed. But let's remember, like that little boy, he said, like the little girl, she said, I know how to swing, but I just need a push. Next week, Monday, our little ones will be going back to school. When you see them walking on the street, encourage them. You look sharp in your uniform. All the best this year, those types of things. Give them a push. Bermuda, it's only through each other, pushing each other, can we make it.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to thank you for coming out today. Let's give each other a push. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Shannon. And from our Bermuda Entertaining Union, Brother Leroy. There you go, Leroy.
Greetings, everyone, and happy Labor Day. I'm particularly glad to be here because just a week ago, I found myself laying up in a hospital bed for a few days. But it gave me a chance to think about what we've done, what's been going on, about Labor Day. The Bermuda Entertainment Union is excited to celebrate you and all you do to ensure that our economy is flowing in a positive direction. As laborers, We expand the necessary physical and or mental effort and human activity that provides the goods and or services for our economy. Generally, these services performed by you, the workers, for wages are differentiated from those rendered by entrepreneurs for profits. Therefore, workers today, we celebrate you.
All right.
Now, recently, we celebrated a movement by some of our early laborers on this island. These former slaves, our ancestors, forefathers, mothers, and our heroes who were used and abused decided that now we've been emancipated in 1834. We will celebrate who we are, where we came from, and where we're going. Now, despite the disgruntled toleration of former slave owners, employers, and the Bermuda government for over 146 years, Bermuda's laboring workforce made a conscientious choice to celebrate their newfound place in the society as paid workers. This celebration we now know as Cop Match. And let me just say this, while I talk about Cop Match, we call the second day of Cop Match Summer's Day. Ain't got nothing to do with Cop Match. Nothing to do with it. It's about what our slaves had done. It's about the emancipation. This year, the Bermuda Entertainment Union celebrates 50 years of service to this community. Local entertainment has always been an integral part of all that we do, who we are, and who we are. Prior to and beyond our emancipation, when slaves were brought to the island to provide manual labor, culinary skills, and child care and the like, we still danced, we sang, and we showcased a variety of performing arts skills. As professional entertainers, we laid forward for better working conditions, respectable pay, the ability to work in our own country, especially when foreign entertainers came to Bermuda to perform, and to ensure that all foreign entertainers pay the respected traveling dues and become members of the union, just as they do in every other jurisdiction around the world. Unfortunately, 50 years later, we still find ourselves fighting for some of these same rights and benefits. For the past 5 years, the BEU has struggled to survive. Michael Fahey and the OBA government tried their very best to not only suppress us, but to kill us. But guess what? We're still here. We are still here today. We are grateful to our President Minister, who I believe is celebrating his birthday today, I believe. And we're also grateful to the PLP government for recently reinstating the traveler's dues policy. The policy ensures that, one, local entertainers are protected and have performance opportunities whenever foreign entertainers arrive in the island or perform in the island. It protects promoters and the Bermudian community from entertainers who don't respect contracts and their audiences. It provides some funding for local-based events. It provides benevolence to the families of our entertainers during their time of bereavement. And most importantly for me, It provides scholarships for our young Bermudians who are seeking to develop their own gifts and talents, to develop their entertainment skills. Now, based on these premises, we find it difficult to accept the primary entity that has disregarded the protection and opportunities for Bermudians for years. They have been granted exemption from the traveler's dues policy. It is shamefully unfair that the Bermuda Festival, who imports hundreds of overseas professionals and entertainers and support staff during the off-season, when most of our guys aren't working. This is totally unacceptable. And we call on this current Labor government to fix it and to make it right. Unacceptable. If we're going to keep Bermudians first, we've got to make sure that the policies align themselves accordingly. If we are truly to establish real progress towards a fairer Bermuda, every worker must be valued. We, the workers, must be valued for where we come from, where we want to go, who we are, what we do, what we've already achieved, and how we think. The way someone treats you, ignores you, disrespects you, or even what and how much they pay you, lets you know how you are valued. But let me encourage you. Don't ever let the sum of your value be determined by others. You determine your own value, your own self-worth, based on your own quantified principles, and keep moving forward. As for the Bermuda Entertainment Union, we believe in the value of our local entertainment and how it contributes to a better character, community, and culture. We will continue to fight for Bermudians to work in their own country, regardless if the powers that be were red or green. We believe in the Bermudian workforce and join with our sister unions, just as we have before, to continue to fight and ensure we progress towards a fairer Bermuda. God bless you.
Thank you, Brother Leroy. Ladies and gentlemen, I must take a moment for a slight commercial. Unfortunately, the train is not with us this year, so I ask that anybody who would like to volunteer their car to please park it up there behind Brother Colin and Brother Graham so that you can take our seniors on the tour. Okay? Thank you. At this time, I'll call on our sister from the ESTUC, the Electrical Supply Trade Union, Sister Betty.
Thank you. Good day, brothers and sisters. I greet you on behalf of the ESTU. As many who have spoken and shared before me, it behooves me to do the same today and pay respect to the many leaders who have paved the way before us and who have set the stage for us to be able to continue the progress towards a fairer Bermuda. One such leader that I would like to take the time to acknowledge is the late Mr. Maynard Deal. Today is the anniversary of his passing. I won't be before you long as I share a few words with you on this 37th Labor Day observance. The number 37 speaks to self-determination and creativity. And as we continue the work of progress towards a fair Bermuda, it is my hope that we remain determined to be creative as we strategize towards equality and fairness. May equity and equality continue to be the drive for us to stand in solidarity for what we believe is best for the people of Bermuda. May we as brothers and sisters continue to have the critical dialogue that is required for us to have a fairer Bermuda. We will not be silenced. In closing, like the late great Dr. E.F. Gordon, aka Mazumbo, showed us, Just because they don't call us by what you deserve to be called doesn't mean you change who you are. You simply change the name. As we continue to progress towards a fairer Bermuda, may we always remember that when trials and tribulations come, and it looks like we may not be getting the respect that we deserve, with determination in our hearts and creativity in our soul, may we methodically alter the mindset and edify progress towards a fairer Bermuda. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Betty. Last but surely not least, from the Bermuda Trade Union Congress, Brother Jason Hayward.
Good morning, brothers and sisters.
Afternoon.
No, I just made it according to my watch. Let me begin today by recognizing a living legend in the labor movement, Brother Otterwell Simmons. He is a giant in the labor movement and an inspiration to me. We are here today celebrating Labor Day based on his efforts and the efforts of the BRU and the workers of 1981 who participated in that historic strike. You recognize that the first Labor Day was held in 1982, 1 year later. It was Brother Otterwell and his team who advocated for the Labor Day holiday. The PLP, who was in opposition at the time, took the motion to the House. Labor Day was originally posed for May 1st. The government of the day did not want to recognize May 1st. And so we ended up with a Labor Day on September, the first Monday in September. But no matter what day Labor Day is held on, it is important to recognize those who came before us, who put in the blood, sweat, and tears, so that we enjoy the gem of Bermuda that we have today. Yes. We also need to recognize that this gem is not fair for everyone. Many are struggling. Many are feeling as though they're displaced in their own home. Many feel as though there is a lack of opportunity for them. As a result, it is our responsibility to close that gap. And we have been working hard to do so. In 2017, the BTUC laid out a workers' agenda. That agenda had a number of items in it to improve the quality of life and the conditions of the labor force. We called for the implementation of a living wage. A committee was formulated and recommendations have been made. Brothers and sisters, 400 years ago, persons were working for free in Bermuda as slaves. 400 years later, some of the descendants of those slaves are now making $6 an hour. It took you 400 years from free to $6 an hour. And based on the conversations in the community, it seems like some want to make another 400 years till we get to at least $12 an hour. The wages in this country are unacceptable with the high cost of living. The BTUC called on the government to develop a workforce development plan. Mission complete. The labor movement worked with the government to ensure that we have a workforce development plan that ultimately connect people with jobs. We simply can't have persons in our community locked out of the labor movement because employers tell them that they don't have the appropriate skills for the job. We need to address youth unemployment, and the implementation of their workforce development plan will achieve that aim. Brother Chris talked about the cost of living for Bermudians. It is simply running away from us. I'm pleased to hear that the government will put a number of mechanisms in place that will make a certain segment of this community unhappy. The cost of health care, the cost of housing, the cost of food is simply too high. We will actively address age discrimination. Persons should not be locked out of the labor movement simply because they turn 65. The acting minister spoke about the reforms to the labor and pension legislation. And we should see in the next legislative session some of those changes tabled. The LAC is also, Labor Advisory Council, is also working on addressing the issue regarding gratuities. When we go to restaurants and leave a tip, it is our assumption or expectation that the workers that served us and prepared our food receive their tip. Yes, sir. But what we are finding out is that some of those workers are not receiving the gratuities that we leave. That needs to change. A worker leaves work on a Friday as a full-time employee. On the Monday when they return to work, they're offered a contract. That contract then tells that employee that they'll earn personal contractor, that they're responsible for all the earned benefits. Companies are issuing contract work to get away from paying the benefits that they're supposed to pay according to the Employment Act. It is wrong. And it's our aim to put an end to that practice. We must take an earnest look at the future. What does a Bermuda in 2028 look like? If we have persons who are falling through the cracks in 2018, how do we prevent those same people from being in the cracks in 2028? What would the world of work look like in 2028? Technology is rapidly changing. Yes. Technology is rapidly displacing workers. We need to ensure that our young people are up on science, mathematics, engineering. We need to prepare our people for the future world of work. Today, I am calling on the government to develop a national innovation and technology plan that would address how we educate our population regarding technology, how we integrate it into our school system, how we begin to provide our citizens with the skills needed for the new world of work. Brothers and sisters, we have to be deliberate about it. Quo fronto front is simply not good enough. I close, brothers and sisters, with thanking you all for standing strong with the labor movement. I thank you all for all the work that you have done to make the Bermuda the success what it is. And I close with simply Happy Labor Day. 3 cheers for labor. Hip hip. Hip hip. Hip hip.
Thank you, Brother Jason. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time we get ready for the march. All our seniors, there are quite a number of cars there towards the